Now, my dear students, let me recall what were the types of data and the methods of collecting data. As I told you that there were primary data and secondary data. The primary data was the data which was collected by the person during an investigation, and whereas the secondary data was the data which was collected by the individual now is collected by the and collected and stored by someone else now, maybe in the office statistical bureau and something like this, then by someone else and by someone else and is assessed and certain there and investigated. Now that there are ways to display the data in different forms. Just like you can say that. Now let me give you an example that you see that this is a table. We can display data in different forms, in tabular form, in graphical form, in pie charts, and there are many ways to display data. For example, before going into detail, what is how can we display data and what is group data and what is ungrouped data, let me give you an example of displaying a data. This is merely a displaying a data, nothing else is doing over here. So let me draw some columns over here. You see there are some columns. Now these are called columns. These are called columns. And what is this? This is called a row. Now this table has two rows, row number one, row number two, and how many columns? One, two, three, four, five column and rows. Rows are towards this side column. Now let me write score over here and frequency over here. Okay. Now there may be any test, maths test, English test, and the of the student numbers of the student which scored points were, the numbers were 10. Okay. Now the students may have scored this much numbers from 1 to 5. Now there are like this, and maybe. Okay. Now you see this is the data. How can we represent data or display data in different? This is a merely example. Now you can see that three students out of all these. Now these are 10 and 18 students. 18 students, 3 students scored 1, 4 students 2, 5 students 3, 3 students 4, and 3 students 5. Okay. Now this is the frequency. Now I'll tell you how to organize the data and what is group data and what is ungrouped data, because in your book the examples are given of group data and ungrouped data. But the example given under the ungrouped data is something confusing in the um, example. Let me point it to you that what is confusing in this. Now you see that here, it is 0 to 9.999, and it is 10 to 10.99, 20 to 19.9, and 30 to 29. So this is something confusing over here. You can see page number 72 in your book, that this is something confusing. Let me uh, uh, do some examples on my own and tell you what is a group data and what is ungrouped data. Now, my dear students, what is grouped ungrouped data? When the data has not been placed anywhere in any category and no aggregation summarization has taken place on the data, then it is known as ungrouped data. Ungrouped data is also known as raw data. That means when we collect data, it is raw data. Okay, as it says that it it is placed. It has not been placed in a category, and it has no aggregation, summarization, and whatsoever it is. But it is still a data. So it is called ungrouped data. Whereas group data is when the raw data. Now taking the raw data first. Now taking the raw data which will have to be grouped now. Now if the raw data is grouped into different classes, it is said to be group data. Um, I would have written it, but it will be very long if I write it over here. Now let me give an example for you to let you understand what is the group data and what is the ungrouped data. Now, my dear students, let me consider this example. Now, there are the height of students, okay? Uh, Maybe in the class and whatsoever it is. Now, I am going to write some heights of the students in a class. It is in centimeters, okay? Which we have recorded. It means that there are 40 students in that class. Now, what we infer from this data that some student has 171 centimeter height, some have 143, some have 174, there are some tall, there are some short, okay, but the way to write it is called ungrouped data. We are not considered with the inference at the very first. Will not jump to the result at very first. Now this is the form of ungrouped data. What I was going to tell you that what is the ungrouped data. Now this is the primary data or the ungrouped data. And what is it? It is the height of the students. If you can see it on the screen, height of the students. Okay, now this is the height of the students. Now this is the raw data. This is the ungrouped data. This is the primary data. But if we organize it into different classes, we'll come with a grouped data. Now let me give you the same example. If you have noted this, I just rub it out. Just rub this line. Okay. I just want to get some space out of it. So I make a table. A table. I form a table in which I'll process this data. I'll process this data. Now, dear students, look the same example when it is grouped. Now, what we do is we will make the intervals of the heights. We'll take the smaller one and we'll take the tallest one. We'll take the smaller one and we'll take the tallest one, and then we will divide it into some class intervals which will be equal in the span. Okay, now let me do it like this, that height intervals I write it as height intervals. Height intervals. Now these are called height intervals, and this is in centimeters. Okay, this is in centimeters. Now I'll write the first interval as 135 centimeter. From 135 centimeter, what will we do? We'll go to 140 centimeters. Rather take 10 from 1 to 0. Now this is, you see that from 31 to 40. These are the interval consists of 10 values. Okay. Now similarly, we'll go further 141 to 150 and 151 to 160, 161 to 170, 171 to 180, and 181 to 190, and 191 to 200. So I think this will do our job. How many class intervals we made? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We made 7 intervals out of it. So we can skip the last one because I think there is no students above 190. So we can skip this class interval. So what is the frequency over here? You can write the frequency by making the telemarks. Now I'll do the first one with the telemarks and with then without the telemarks. Now 131 to 140. Let me now take another pen and I'll mark from 131 to 140. There is no in one line number 1 there is nothing. Yes, there is one, only one, and the line which I rub is, so this was the line which I rubbed. So there is only one child or one student which is in this class, 131 to 140 centimeters. So we'll write the telemark. A telemark is like this, one line, and by chance the frequency is 1, and from 141 to 150. Now you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what we do here, we draw telemarks, we cut it with the fifth one, and then one more telemark. Now this is the way to write with the telemarks. Draw 4 telemarks, then cut with the 1. It will be 5 and plus 1, 6. In fact, it is 1 left over here. So write one telemark here and write 7 over here. Now you see that 1, 2, 3, 4 crossing is also considered as one telemark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now from 51 to 51 to 60. 51 to 60. Number one. Now writing telemark is like this. You just first choose and then write 51 to 60. So these are 2. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and fifth. Now these are 5. And now you can search by yourself that how many are these. This is 9, and this is again 9. This is not there. So the last one is 10. So this is the way how we represent a group data into a group data, ungrouped data into a group data. Here we had ungrouped data. Now this is a group data. Now let me take another column and which is called CF. Now this is called the cumulative frequency. What is cumulative frequency? We write here 1. The number coming over here, write here 1. Add this 1 in 7, it will become 8. Add this 8 in 5, it will become 13. Add this 13 in 9, it will become 22. In 9, 31, and uh, it will become 41. So there are 41. You see that the number of observations were 41. So the cumulative frequency came as 41. Now there are other also things which we can make in this table, that are the midpoints, that are the means. Midpoints and means also. We'll do them in the later stage. I think you would have understood now. This is the ungrouped data. This is the ungrouped data. And this is what we had from the ungrouped data. We grouped it, so it is grouped data. These are the examples of grouped data and ungrouped data. Now we can make the graphical form from this table as well. Now, my dear students, if I take the same example to form a pictogram, now I am just telling you what are the uh, different types of displaying data. We are not going into very much detail, but we are just uh, mm, uh, showing some examples to let you understand what are the different types of displaying data. So if I take the same examples and I uh, draw a pictogram out of it, so it will be like this. Now students, you see that I have drawn to axis over here. Now you can take the class boundaries over here, or the class intervals I wrote here. Now just imagine that I have uh, assigned number 1 to 7 to those which were our class intervals. How many were? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 class intervals. So I'm just going to write 6 class intervals over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Or I will write the first and the last for you, that you may not be confused. Now, first class interval was 131 to 40. It was 131 to 140. And the last one was 181 to 190. Okay, the rest of what were our class intervals. Now the frequency, we will take the frequency over here. Okay. Now the first frequency was only 1. I'll just mark with the help of ruler like this. 1, 2. We'll just mark these things over there. Okay, now I just mark because consider that this is a graph paper. Now what we do here, now this is from 131 to 140 and this will uh, have this much area. Okay, now this will have this much area. Now you see that there are there may be heights which are less than 131, so we are not considering it. So we are going to start it from here. Okay, and this is, and similarly for each value we are assigning some space that it should be look like that these are the class intervals. So these are the class intervals for each. Now it has only one frequency, so it will become as like this. You can color it if you like it. I'll not color because it will be very much tedious for me to rub it. So the class interval from 131 to 140 has only one frequency. Okay. Now it is very much obvious from this graph that the class interval from 131 to 140 has only one frequency. That means only one student out of these 131 to 141 has the height within this range. Now the second interval is 141 and it has 7. Where it is 7? Now just mark here and it is 7. So it is the second bar. It is also called bar diagram. It is also called pictogram. And if we refine it further, it will be histogram. For the third, these are the 5. These were the 5. So you see that how graph is growing up. And 9. Then it is 9 for the fourth category. Again 9. And 10 for the last category. So this is the bar diagram of what we had in our tabular form, the group data. From ungrouped data, we came to the uh, group data and then to the bar diagram or pictogram. Now there is a way again a way. It is very interesting way to define. Now what I do is we take the compass, fit in the marker. हाँ जी, कौन है? और चल रहा है यार, चल। Now you see, my dear students, I have drawn a circle. Now we can represent the same data in the circular form, and this is called a pie diagram. What it is called is pie diagram, pie chart, pie diagram, pie chart. You might have seen this sort of pie charts in cricket. The one this and the upcoming also in cricket commentary while you are while you are watching it live on the TV. Now what does it do? Now it will give you the sectors of the occupation of the group data. For example, there were 10 students of the group. There were 10 students which were in between 181 and 190. Now we'll divide this 41 students. We'll divide this 41 in by 360 because this is 360 angle. I have told you that the angles in one circle are 360 degrees. Now 41 students. There are 41 students and we have to assign 41 students within 360. So what will be the result? Almost 9 degrees. We'll uh, assign almost 8.7 degree 8.7 degree to each student. Now how many students are there in uh, the first interval? There was only one student. So what will we do here? We'll take the center of it, this circle, and we'll mark 8.1 degree over here. So this is about this much. You see that this sector. Now this is the sector for this period or this class interval. Now students, you see that uh, we have this much sector because the frequency was only 1 over here. Okay. Now for our next interval, uh, that was uh, from 141 to 150. The frequency is 7 over here. Okay. Now we'll multiply this 8.7 with 7. Now it is 61 degree. Now from here, we'll take 61 degree from here. 61 degree. This is 60 and this is 61 degree. Okay, now we'll draw the sector over here. Number 3, 50 and 60. Okay. This was 151 to 160 and the frequency is 5 over here. So 5 times 8.7 gives us 43.5. 44. Let me 40 and 44. Okay. So it must not be very accurate. Well, the next is fourth interval. One, two, three, fourth interval. Yes, fourth. Then the two intervals the subsequent intervals have 9 frequency each. Now you can color it in different colors like this, okay, and like this. I'm not going to color all over, and like this. And if you have, now you see that this pie chart has been completed. It is pie chart. Now first is 1, second is 7, third is 5, fourth and fifth are 9 each, and this is 10. Okay, now this chart has been completed. Now you have often seen in the cricket match that the comparative run rate is also shown on your screen. Now it is very easy. Let me give you an example and then we'll finish. So these are the overs and these are the runs. Okay, suppose that this is a 50-over match. Okay, we are starting from 0 from both sides because runs also starts from 0 and overs also start from 0. So the first team, maybe that is England. Okay, now England is doing like this, and their wickets are fallen in this over, here, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let it be here also. Now this is England, and the second team, which is Australia, they are going like this, and their wicket fall of wickets is shown here, here, here. Okay, now you see England has scored like 280 runs, whereas Australia has crossed over and they have 281 runs, 83 runs, 283, because on the last ball they hit a 4. So you see that this was the 50-over match. Let me write 50 over here. Okay. Now this is a comparative graph statement which is showing the fall of wickets for Australia. This is Australia and this is England. Now, how many wickets have been fallen for Australia? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wickets. Now six Australia were 6 wickets down, whereas although they won the match, and for England 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, both have 6 wickets fallen. So this was a fictitious graph, and you see that the Australia were very slowly approaching to England, and they cross over here, and suddenly a boom came. Then a slump also came over here, and then they hit hard and won the match. So this was the graphical statement for comparative graph statements. Now, I may also tell you that there are certain uh, merits and demerits of each representation. There may be some merits for this, and there may also be demerits for this, and this. So you can also study these. And now, since we have organized data and we have displayed the data and we have organized the data, now in the last, what we have to do is uh, we have to compile a result. We have to infer something. So by compiling the data, in the last, what we do is we infer, and uh, we come to some result. So it's time to say you goodbye, Allah Hafiz.